What's up, y'all? It's Outlaw, and today I've got 5 tips to hopefully help you hike the PCT without absolutely destroying your wallet. Tip number 1, send yourself boxes. I can't stress how much money this saved me, and I'm gonna explain why. I know a lot of people are thinking, how on earth does sending boxes save you money? Well, it's simple. If you go and buy the food in bulk ahead of time from a wholesaler like Costco or maybe even a Sam's Club, or even if you just find an online retailer that will send you a bunch of, one item for less money, then you're gonna save a ton here. The reason why you're gonna save a lot is because even though it costs about $25 to ship each box with priority shipping, I got about 120,000 calories, which for me, I do 100 calories per mile. So that got me 1,200 miles on the PCT for about $400 at Costco. Granted, I was eating the same thing over and over, like peanut butter and Bobo bars and a lot of other things that I will probably never eat again. But for those 1,200 miles that I got that food, it was so much cheaper than dropping into the town and resupplying. And that's just because when you go into these towns, it's not that they're trying to take advantage of hikers, it's just most of the time they're really small and they're looking to make a little bit of extra money, and it's really just a convenience fee that you're paying. Now I will say some of the towns did just feel like they were taking advantage of hikers, but that's just because when you look at a pack of ramen that's $4 and they marked it up 800%, what else are you supposed to think, right? So even if you're going in town by town and resupplying with the most garbage food imaginable, you're probably gonna spend $40 to $80, I would say, on each resupply. And you're gonna stop in about 33 towns. The reason why I say about 33 is because I did an average of 80 miles per stretch. Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less. Sometimes you'll just skip a resupply altogether. But at the end of the day, you're gonna stop into a lot of towns, and this is gonna get expensive. It's gonna be convenient, but expensive. So if you have someone at home that will send you the boxes, or even a friend, that if you just drop them off pre-made and said, hey, just when I tell you to send it to this address, just send any one of these boxes, you will end up saving a ton of money, because food is going to be by far your largest expense on a thru hike, or at least it was for me. Number 2, stay at campgrounds. When you go into these towns, a bunch of them are really PCT friendly. They will have a little spot where you can camp out. Like Idlewild has a place for $5. Ashland, you can stay in the local park. There's so many of these towns that accommodate hikers, especially on a budget. So instead of going to get a $200 hotel, go and stay at a $5 campground, or sometimes it's even free. So after you're on trail for so long, after I'd say 60 days for me, I got so used to sleeping outside and the cooler temperatures and the fresh air in my tent and my pad that when I went into a hotel, sometimes it felt cramped and stuffy and hot. I didn't sleep that well. Surprisingly, some of the worst nights I slept on the trail were actually in a hotel. I know some people are gonna absolutely disagree with me in the comments, and I got great nights sleep in hotels sometimes too. But at the end of the day, over the course of the trail, I just got so accustomed to sleeping outside that it didn't really matter if I was staying at a campground or a hotel. I was just happy to go into town, shower, get some good food, and then hang out. Most of the time, these campgrounds are cool too, because other hikers will be there and you can socialize with them, swap stories, etc. So I'd say even if you're adverse to sleeping at campgrounds, just give it a shot, and it will save you a lot of money, because if you stay in a hotel every single town you go into, my God, your PCT budget is going to go through the roof. Number 3, start with decent gear from the start. And what I mean by that is just invest in quality items. The reason why these smaller gear companies are so expensive is 1, they use good quality materials, and 2, they're just smaller. They're not going to mass produce a Walmart pad that's going to pop or that weighs 3 pounds. So if you just invest in quality gear as far as clothes and equipment like your tent and your pad, trekking poles, etc., they're gonna last you through the duration of the thru hike, and you're not gonna have to replace them 3 or 4 times. I tried to get away with, crappy trekking poles, and I really bit the bullet because I broke them 3 times. So if I would have just bought an expensive pair, which I finally did, then they would have just lasted me the thru hike, and I wouldn't have had to have that expense 3 reoccurring times. So get good gear from the start, invest in it. I promise you it'll be worth it. You're going to be sleeping with this stuff and using it every single day for quite a long time. And that 4 to 6 months is going to feel a lot longer than that, I promise you. So get good gear. You won't have to replace it throughout the thru hike, hopefully, and that'll save you some cash. Number 4, hike with other people. If you're on your solo thing, that's cool. I was on my solo thing when I first started. In fact, I was adverse to kind of hiking with people. I thought other people are just gonna, bog me down. I didn't have the right mindset going into it, honestly, at first. I was way too focused on this being an expedition and not opening myself up to the social aspect of the thru hike. And it's gonna be just more enjoyable. You're gonna go through with somebody, you're gonna probably bounce in and out of random groups, but the huge part is that when you're possibly spitting a taxi or an Uber, or you're going to a hotel, a $250 hotel, when I was with a group of 5 or 4 towards the end, was only $50, sometimes even less. So it's going to be exponentially cheaper, especially when you're going into towns and you're staying somewhere that's not a campground, to be with a group of people. So don't underestimate how much money this will save you too on the hike. And it's fun. You get to hike with people, swap stories, and become really good friends. Number 5, this one seems obvious, and I've kind of mentioned it in a video prior, but don't take too many zeros. I'm not telling you you can't chill, enjoy the hike your own hike, whatever, that's cool. But if you take a bunch of zeros, you're gonna spend a bunch of money, because you're gonna sit in a town, you're gonna stay at a place, you're gonna eat at a bunch of restaurants, and you're probably gonna get out of that town for no less than $250. Sometimes I was mind blown when I did a double zero. I did 1 double zero in Trout Lake, and that town shook me down. I had spent more money there than weeks on the trail prior to that. So it's really surprising, and it can happen very quickly. If you're taking a lot of zeros, just be aware. One thing that I did to mitigate this is I would kind of plan out getting into town with a half day, or I would try and get into town with a full day like a Nero, and then I'd take a half day the next day. So get into town, enjoy, have a meal, chill with some friends, and then stay at a campground. Then the next day, kind of pack up, get all my stuff ready, hang out at the town, do any last minute chores, and then get back on the trail for another half day. I thought that worked really well. I felt like that gave me enough time to enjoy the place I was at and really see and experience the town, but not also get vortexed into spending a ton of money at restaurants and hotels that really rack up extremely fast. And lastly, this little tidbit is going to be a question that I've gotten a lot, is how much did the whole thing actually cost me? Now, before I tell you what it cost me, I'm gonna give you what I think it is on the low end and what it is on the high end. So if you're absolutely doing all these tips, you buy all your food at Costco, you send them in boxes, you never stay in hotels, you barely eat out when you get into town, and you don't take a lot of zeros, I think you can do the PCT for around $3,500, excluding the gear. If you go somewhere in the middle like me, where you're a little bit more cost conscious, but at the same time, you get into town, you want to go to Billy's Fried Chicken and spend $35 because you're starved and you're literally becoming skinnier by the day, then it's going to cost you anywhere between $5,500 to $6,000. I think I spent about that when it was all said and done. And if you're absolutely about to just send this thru hike on a full party scale and make it a social experience and double zero in towns and zero here and zero there, then you're looking at probably 10 grand, which I know sounds insane, but I'm telling y'all, the expenses add up so quickly. If you do a double zero when you hike, you'll know exactly what I mean. So I'd say it ranges from the cheap end to 3,500 and on the higher end 10,000. And I'm sure people have gone past 10,000, fairly easily. So that's all for today. I hope this is going to be helpful for you planning and saving some cash on the trail. The PCT is unfortunately just more of an expensive thru hike compared to the others because of its location, 1,700 miles it is in California. But these tips should help you save some cash. I will be posting some more Japanese hiking videos. I just had to sort through some of the footage and get that a little bit more organized before I continued on with editing. So I hope this is helpful. As always, leave comments. I'm here to help. I want to be a resource. Hit me up on Instagram. I've already had people reach out. I love it. I really want to help everyone who's going on this trail, and I just want to make sure you have the best time possible. That's it, y'all. See you on the next one.